Welcome to the Unfiltered Path Podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and the transformative moments that define us. Our mission here is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth, enlightenment, and join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, to be motivated, to be moved, to be inspired, and discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everyone. My name is Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach. I am one of your co-hosts here on the Unfiltered Path Podcast, and today is a special episode as we are closing out Season 2 of the Unfiltered Path Podcast. Yay! I am joined here with my co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerialist. I am an Aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus, and also I'm an educator. And today we are here with my co-host.
Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Valüd Productions. We provide video marketing strategies to help businesses become more successful and reach their goals. And I'm super excited today that you've been listening up until this point. You've made it this far. I'm sure you've had some awesome experiences, some epiphanies, some realizations that we're closing out Season 2. And the fact that we've made it this far is just absolutely amazing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the average is 7 episodes. Like, that's what people do.
You know what? And we are above average, not only in this, because this is the statistics of businesses going past their first year. We've now, I personally, this is right on the top of my mind right now, because my business is technically a year old last month. So I feel like it is like that mark where you're like, I got this, right? So I feel like that with this podcast, because we started it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really have any expectations. Let's just do it, see what happens. We all three of us wanted a place to continue to connect and spread our messages that entrepreneurship, yeah, it's hard AF, but it is so worth it. And a place where we can normalize the ups and downs and the valleys and the challenges and say, hey, we're real. This is what we go through. You're not in this alone. You're struggling. We are too. So I feel like we've really hit, I feel like the end of Season 2, we've kind of hit that mark where like, hey, this is a thing that people are listening to. So I'm so thankful for listeners and all the feedback that we get on the podcast.
And my guests. Have we talked about that? We've had Steve.
Yes.
We've had like people that own a section of BNI. Like, I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. People from all over the country. Went Texas, Cali.
Yeah.
South Africa.
South Africa.
Carolina.
North
Yes,
Carolina.
South Africa. Yeah, just to name a few.
Yeah,
So
super
that is,
cool.
like the major identifier too is if a podcast is going to last. One was this, I just recently saw this and it was on TikTok, so I don't really know the quality of this data, but it makes sense. It's 7 episodes and the quality of guests. So it's not like they have to all have fancy like titles or anything of that matter, but that they're kind of seeking us and they are accomplished in X something. And there's something particularly they would identify with our podcast. When those things start happening, you've created like a safe place for people to express themselves, and in turn is a successful podcast.
Yeah, most definitely. And one of the things too, on that note of like seeking us, like, you know that we're doing something right when I've had a couple people that I ended up putting on our schedule that actually reached out to me and was like, I hear you're doing a podcast. Is there any way to get on as a guest? And I'm like, oh, I mean, I didn't even know you knew that we were doing a podcast. Like, to me, I'm like, I could do way better at the promotion of this thing. And like, but for me, it's like, that's what I want, is that natural vibe, because I'm just like, this is what we do already. The three of us, we get together, we connect with the world, with our people, all our listeners, and I want that to just like shine through.
Yeah, I think that's right, Graham. I love that too. I love when I like see someone I haven't seen in a couple of months and they're like, I've been listening to the Unfiltered Path podcast. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you knew it existed. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Or quote, someone like randomly quoted me from the podcast and I was like, oh, you like really listen. That's like detailed listening.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of surreal that people like, I love that they connect with us that much. And when I was in Colorado speaking a couple of weeks ago, I talked about this. It's that community caring space where we offer space. I hope that we offer space for people to feel like they can be safe and vulnerable. So I see that with speakers, because a lot of the people that we're bringing in to speak, to be guests, I should say, we see sides of them that I've never seen before. Because them professionally, right? We see them in every arena. We got CEO of Chamber of Commerce. We've got the executive director and owner of a major networking organization that's global. Like, we are offering a space for these amazing, powerful individuals to come out and say, here is the real me, the true me that I can't be, and every other arena that I'm in every single day. Let's talk about the real stuff in a way that inspires and normalizes this journey of life that we're on. Because regardless of whether you're a business owner or not, life is up and down, sideways, upside down, all of the time, no matter what. So
the transparency of their work, right? So like, for example, we had Catherine come, who's a doctor. She gave us a very unbiased opinion of her perceptions of the health and wellness arena in general and how she's going to address life as an entrepreneur, or some of our other guests where they got vulnerable. Like, we've had men, in my opinion, kind of really let some layers come off and see like a sensitive space within, jujitsu.
yeah.
Right? Like it's been really rewarding seeing parts of them and then their professions. We're getting really raw information, something we don't have to seek out or pay for. We are getting it here on the podcast. So that's cool to me.
Yeah, most definitely. And on that same kind of note, like, I like what you were talking about, Trinity, the community space, where like community is so key. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't first start out with my communities of like, getting sober. Like, that was a community that I joined. Then it was like, okay, then I joined BNI as the community that I built myself in, like, to start even entrepreneurship. And now it's like, okay, how can we take that to the next level? Okay, now it's like, okay, my actual business has community stuff of like, okay, this is what we're doing to grow their businesses. And then now we've got this, which is a community space to show those ups and downs and that vulnerability. And in doing that, there's that ability to really show that message, and like, in my hopes to get that message across to help them grow their business, their personal life, like all those different things. And so I just love that community aspect. And so as our listeners, I'm grateful that you guys are all here listening. And I hope you keep listening. And if there's anything that we can do to like better questions or any like feedback or anything like that, please leave them in the comments and shoot us a message, whatever it is. Like, we are all about just like taking that feedback and growing, because that's what it's all about, those opportunities to grow.
I think that it's the true currency that entrepreneurs work for is community. I think that's what we all have in common, is this idea of a mission, a purpose to make change, make better, listen to me, to make change for the better, together. And it's that mindset that makes the entrepreneur. I think it's a false perception that it's money.
Yeah.
I really, really, really do. I believe that the most successful people probably did their first few years almost for free because, and they did it in their community or where they're learning or whatever that is. And they dedicate themselves. They put themselves out there. They do the service, the service that needs to be done. And yeah, I just want to say that. I think that's the real currency that we all are kind of gathering is that sense of
I think, Danielle, you just made me think of something that as this podcast grows, and here I am as like a marketing person, like kind of thinking about this, that, you know, one of the steps to growing this thing could be merch. And community is the true currency would be a dope t-shirt or like bumper sticker or something like that.
Their little unfiltered podcast.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Totally. With like a QR code to find our podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Community is the true currency. Wait, how do we want to work?
I love that.
I think that's it right there.
Yeah.
You can...
When I go back and listen to the episodes, and create descriptions for them, like there are some really great bumper sticker worthy things. So I love that idea. Matthew McConaughey, which we all know who he is. Yeah,
I don't think he's hot like you do.
I'll just melt it a little bit as I said.
No, I did not melt at all.
Let me pick myself back up here to talk about him. He has a book called Green Light. And in his book, it's like a memoir, but it's like epic. It's all about learning from the valleys of life and when he thought, like, what is going on? Why is it not working? What he did. And he calls them green lights. He calls it green lights when he basically got a green light, like when something worked out that he didn't think was going to work out. But he does that. He went back through his journals, his diaries, whatever he calls them, to make this memoir. And he calls them bumper stickers, where it's like, here is a huge piece of advice that I wrote down, 20 years ago. We get totally hashtags on merch. I love this idea because we have had so many powerful guests on who had so much powerful wisdom to pour into. I mean, just us. Like, if I'm talking selfishly, I've learned so much from this podcast. And so even if it wasn't as successful as it is, like, I am so happy that we started doing this. And then to see the ripple in our communities that we are providing, and not even just our communities, around the world, literally around the world, because we had Lloyd, who was a really special guest all the way from the other side of the world. And then we talked about currency. Like, it's so powerful to have a space where we can bring people together that aren't right next door. It's a total different level of community.
Most definitely.
For Zoom, can we get a whoop whoop?
Yeah.
And like that whole aspect of life, because I'm going to school right now with women all over the country, global Philippines, and we're all aerialists, and that's the community. And what's cool is that we're all trained at a global standard, so it's kind of fancy. But we all, because I have continued education with them and a previous circus school experience, I'm able to do this on Zoom.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy. So by this time next year, I should be a master level aerialist, globally standard. And I did it off of Zoom from Maine with 2 kids in an LLC. And I'm training myself like what I thought I had to leave, which is a beautiful thing. And to have that sense of community and to have virtual options to connect and learn, and how, we as people, we were isolated and we created so many ways to grow more instantly and to connect even more instantly. It's just such a cool thing to participate in. And this podcast is kind of an homage to that.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, when you were saying that too, like a few years ago, I took all my college classes was all online and like got a bachelor's degree from decent, prestigious music school from online. And like, it is really cool to see from the pandemic this like birth of like connection and making the world a smaller place through online connection. I find it amazing.
That one pop song is like really happening. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like that there was more of a oneness globally, right? And that, so it even makes the awareness of neighbor even more precious. And
yeah. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was one of those people who like, I was working outside of the home as a nurse. And then I had a business in the skincare industry. And my son was in school daycare. And so when the world stopped, I was home all of a sudden, stay-at-home mom. That was like the absolute last thing I wanted to be. I was super grateful for everyone else who helped me raise my child other than me. But it was, I wanted that community. I wanted that community. And so I started one on Facebook, Be Your Own Beautiful. Graham, you know about this group. And it was incredible what happened. And that was like sort of the first time I saw how powerful the online community can be, because that group is strong at over 1,000 members. And I hear feedback. I'm no longer in that industry anymore. And I've passed that group on to someone else who's super powerful in creating that community. Very grateful that she's able to continue to build it, because I hear so much from the members in that group that they look forward to the video. They look forward to the connection. And so I think that we're in a space like the online world will never replace in-person connection. But I think that the online world creates a type of connection that in-person doesn't provide you. I feel, for example, like I feel a lot more comfortable being vulnerable on an online platform versus in person. And so I think for me, like what the online world has done is created a space where I could be vulnerable with my message, create that connection with the people I need to connect with in my business. And then what happens now, I'm seeing it transform in front of me, is when I go to then do in-person speaking events, that vulnerability is strong in me. And so it's kind of grown me. Like the online community kind of started to be like this bridge for me to grow my vulnerability and my skills, so then I can transition them to in-person, which has been just so cool to watch. It's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like just evolving out of my little cocoon in the online community space. Things like this have allowed me to do that. Super grateful.
So I took my COVID check and I paid for my BNI membership that transitioned quickly to Zoom from in-person and built a business. And I was smart. Oh, my intuition has always just got my back. So something told me to create a website versus chasing the gallery game and the craft fair game. And so I put all my money in a website. I made everything printable. I found the best printing company. That was a lot of money and trial and error, but I found it. Trust me, White House, shout out. Anyways, so and then COVID happened and I was already ready. I had gone to 2 BNI meetings in live, so they got me. I was committed. I knew I saw its value and I was ready for it. And then the mojo that I have behind me by taking that money and investing it into myself, just like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know, regardless of bias of the man, please leave me alone. I don't care. The information is sound. I invested in myself with that money. And it was smart. It was so smart. And so then I had created the mindset of a businesswoman, the support of a community online. So then when I did transition to being an aerialist, which was always the goal, I was ready. Yeah. And then I just kept investing in myself, just like now. I mean, I just paid for school again. Like I just kept stopped. And it's been just enlightening me as I need.
I think go ahead, Trinity.
You know what's dope, Graham, is that like I invested with video content with you. And it's so funny because I look at we always look at when we're going to invest money, what is going to be the ROI from that, right? I think the business world, I mean, I'm a former nurse. I did not go to business school, but my sense of the business world teaches you the ROI, what is the return on investment, and that's monetary. And so did I get a monetary investment from my investment with Graham and creating video content in my previous business? Yes, but what that also gave me was an ROI on skills and confidence and creativity. Like, it gave me, and back then when I hired Value Productions, I had no idea that I would need those skills for a different business that was
right.
Oh, it's so funny to see that transform.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because I was literally just gonna say that, like, the idea of investing in yourself. There's a guy that I follow a lot and like really take a lot of inspiration from. Alex Hormozy is awesome content and stuff, and he is always talking about, like, you hear people, and this is where I learned it, is like, you hear people talking about investing in the S&P 500 and the return that you can get from the S&P 500 and like stocks and everything. But what he is always like talking about is the SNME 500, where it's like you invest in yourself and like education and like community and all this stuff. And that is going to have a much greater, like, when you actually dial in the numbers, return of monetary skills, growth, all that stuff, than like taking that same chunk of money. Like you said, Danielle, you took your COVID money, instead of like investing it into the S&P 500. You invest it into yourself and growing, and that return is way greater than if you took that same money and put it into like stocks and like, seeing that return. And hopefully this podcast, for those listening, is just that little bit of like boost or stepping stone that you need to, even if it's not, you're not like investing like monetarily into something else. You're investing into yourself by listening to this podcast as being some sort of motivation to find those opportunities to grow that we're always talking about.
And the parent, like, investing in ourselves once we're a parent is even like twice as hard. And I just want, the parents that are listening out there, your kids are better off if you're chasing your dream. Because, like, it's teaching them things in the moment. You're not even trying to teach them things.
Yep.
And it'll be that subconscious layer. I'm just glad I made that choice. I just want to see that. And financially too. Like, I went on vacation, but I went back to school. And it was crazy. Okay. I did last year, I did 2 town art walks, and not even as a painter, but as an aerialist. I gave free lessons to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And I literally made less than $100 in tips. And those are 4 hours, about 3 or 4 each one in a summer. So you're talking about 8 gigs at 4 hours a piece, free, essentially, right? I've gotten students that have come to every week for a year. So, and then I just love them and the parents. I'm emotional. So these are just relationships, right? And I have a handful of students. I'm not overwhelmed over here. Then I get an entire gym to go back to school, like a very nice gym to use. And this is what the lady says to me. Well, I'm on the art board. We know about you. We want to help you.
There's no.
Yes.
Just to be able to go back to school full time for a whole week out of LA.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yes. But here is what, Danielle, I love this example, because here is another thing that I hope this Unfiltered Path podcast gives our listeners. We, as entrepreneurs, or even if you are in a career, you're thinking about opening a business or doing a business of some sort, it is often that you won't find the support you need. Exactly what we're talking about right here, the investment. Well, what's your ROI? These questions that people who are not entrepreneurial are going to ask you is, you're going to invest this money. What are you going to get back from it? Are you going to here, what are you getting paid? Oh, this is an opportunity. The first thing they're going to ask you is how much you're getting paid for it. And so I hope that this gives our listeners hope that that mindset, that thinking, those people mean so well, but they have a limiting mindset. They don't have an entrepreneurial mindset. And so I hope that when we're talking about investing, that you get a little bit of motivation, that if maybe there is an investment that you have been hanging on to and you haven't committed yet because everyone on the outside is saying, but that, what's the return? Blah, 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 right? If I had listened, and I'm sure every single one of you had these people who are like, what are you doing? If I had listened to that voice in those voices over and over in the past 5 years, I would not be here. Like coaching. The reason I know that coaching works is because I hired coaches after coaches after coaches. And so every single loved one who, again, meant so well said, why are you spending thousands on a coach? Thank God I did, because I would still be in corporate America working a nursing job, not living in this beautiful mountain town that I live in, not traveling all over to speak. Like it wouldn't be possible. And so take the risk, make the investment. You will be okay. If it's there, if it's the opportunity is there and you have the availability to invest time and money and effort into it, it's there for a reason, take it.
Most definitely.
What's crazy is when you are in alignment, things start just happening. Like it just starts stacking itself but it takes those initial udges, like, are you really going to invest in yourself? Is this really what you're going to do? Really believe in yourself? And then all of a sudden you have people supporting you that like, just like it's their small mission to make sure you get where you're getting. It's also important so Graham gave an example where you could take a value and break it up between your no's. So that's a $300 no to get to your $10,000 yes, right? So another way is another practice I use that's a little more imaginary, more fantasy for people like me. I envision like money like floating above my head, just at all times, just floating above my head, ready to just disperse at like the right decision. But one thing that has to happen is you have to value the no's and value the free. Saying that,
yeah.
And I'm glad I'm at this point in my business where I can gauge the value of the free. Like I just screamed in excitement, right? Because like that just happened like 2 days ago. So it just brought another value on top of having that one student, or knowing hundreds of people got to try something they didn't think they could ever do or wouldn't have access to regularly because it's just not available in my state as well. So it's, riding that purpose with the money above your head, just waiting to disperse at that right moment. And I like this year, I do have people calling me, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I couldn't agree more. The free value is so important, and like I've learned a lot, and like I'm gonna bring it back to something that I learned from Alex Ramosi again. Is like he's always talking about giving away the farm and like giving away all that you do, like the stuff and like how, like not how it's done, but like what you actually do. And then what you actually end up selling is the how and the implementation. So like, for example, I've got a ton of free trainings on, what to do to get started with video, like how to set up your own virtual studio, what you can do to create ideas and filming and all this other stuff. And but then what I end up selling is the actual implementation of that. It's like, okay, so you want help doing that? That's what I'm going to help with. And so I think that's important to know that free value. Like you said, Danielle, like you're doing all these things. People are seeing you do this stuff for free. You're doing these art walks or whatever. And then they're like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's interesting. And then what you sell is like actually them getting started to be able to do those things. I find that
smallest ways, like, you know, I had someone Google me, a Bates student Google me to find me, and I had already tried to network, right? So I knew like the dance festival and all these connections, but she found me a trainer for ability. She's transferring. So she's like, here's my connect. She wanted to help me because here I am giving her something that she thought she couldn't do, Aerial and me. And so here I came with a lot of value. And so she was quick to be like, hey, can we help her do her next level of school? It's only going to help us. One, that she's carrying that information, but two, teaching is different than doing.
Right.
So, you know, just to be the best version of me. And then to know that that very person had already knew of my existence. And it was only in the moment she was there to like enter me into a giant gym and say, here, just learn. You don't have to worry about anything. And it's just wonderful moment that like value beyond value that like she just already knew who I was and what I was doing, and that it came from passion. So investing in my education or having a space that can be rented out for hundreds and hundreds of dollars per day for an entire week full time. I'm there until 7 o'clock at night. This isn't just like letting me in there for a few hours.
Yeah. I think that that's incredible because when I first started my business, when I first applied for my LLC, I knew, and I even on like my business plan that I had documented like on paper, I want the base my business to offer mindset transformation for free. I will give you a handful of tools that brought me out of depression, me out of anxiety, me into thrival mode. And then if you want help implementing them with accountability and support weekly for 3 months, I'm here to help you because I know the tools work, right? So what you teach works, but really what we're selling is ourselves, is know that we can maximize your results, get you even more to where you want quickly and effectively. And that means you to your best self or your business, right? So I love that. And I think it just shows our passion. I really think like the difference between a company and an entrepreneur is that passion, is that availability to say, okay, I want to give you these tools. And then if you want to hire me to help you maximize them, I'm here. And that's what we do. And it's incredible, right?
100%.
With my intuition, like as a spiritual person, as an entrepreneur, and this is why. So the student I just told you about at Bates, so she's transferring, right? Guess where she's transferring? To a school right next to my teacher. Now, I thought this Bates student, physically speaking, is better than me. I just offer the fact that I'm 38 and I've been doing this for a really long time and I can turn anyone into a performer. So, but that, you know what I mean? Like I get to hand bring her to my teacher in Nashville, in her second home, at the second, like just the fact that I even knew that, just how beautiful. And then, so this airs in like 6 weeks. Oh, yeah. So I was kind of like offered a job.
Oh, see, opportunities. Oh, what was it?
Like a title was.
It's all about.
I was listening to a motivational video last night. Lewis Howes, he is The School of Greatness is his book and his podcast. And he said, the right route to take is the one that doesn't offer you any safety. And I thought that was incredible. Like, listen, I've like an Aerialist. I've rewound it and listened to it a couple of times because I think that that's what really sets this entrepreneurial world apart, is our willingness to take the risks that other people are not willing to take. And so I love that this podcast offers people that glimpse at taking the risk. Does it always work out?
Yes.
So what think it's it always works out the way we think, no, but the way it needs to. Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
That's the alignment. That's that faith.
Exactly.
That's that
Exactly.
like you're just like navigating based off of faith, that it's just easier and more sound when you're in the mindset of an entrepreneur to understand that. I always just
100%.
thought it was because I was a woman, that I had a high level of intuition. But it's interesting. I feel like I use it more as an entrepreneur, that I'm able to
100%.
access that flow, that just things are
Yeah.
just aligning like all the
Yeah.
time, every
And
day. It's just the smallest thing. Like even confrontation, I was like, oh, it's getting messy. It's guiding me away because they know that I won't deal with sadness and emotional stuff.
Yes.
Right. And I knew I was sound enough to know that.
It's bad.
and yeah. And when we're all in that space of like energy and everything, you attract those opportunities that are meant to be the way that they're supposed to be. And it's my goal and our goal that this podcast can help be the catalyst for those opportunities for our listeners to, get to that spot where they're in that flow, they're attracting and everything like that. And that's why we're super excited that we've made it this far to season 2, end of season 2. We're going to be kicking off season 3 next week. So make sure you stay tuned and please go follow all the places where the Unfiltered Path podcast is. Leave comments, like any feedback, anything you want us to talk about, please let us know. We're here for that. And again, I know I speak for myself and I think for you that we're super grateful that you're all listening. And again, my name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Valued Productions. I'm one of your co-hosts. You can find me on social media at Valued Productions, valuedproductions.com. That's VALUD. And I'm joined with my awesome co-hosts today.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker. I'm a mindset coach, motivational speaker. I am all things mindset, and I teach clients that I work with how to go from survival mode to thrival mode. And I have tons of free resources. So go visit my website, thetrinitybaker.com. I have a 5-day free mindset transformation training. But follow me on social media, The Trinity Baker, because I post, like we've been talking about, so many mindset tips, tricks, hacks, tools. You just have to implement them. And if you want help implementing them, I'm here to help you. Joined with my co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I am an aerialist. I'm an athlete. I'm an artist. I'm a nurturer. I feel like my true job is building the confidence of other people, meaning I guide them to find themselves through a physical art form and outlet to express themselves. I am pro do what you want to do, even if you're a mom. So if you're on my page, my son's sleeping on the mat underneath me while I'm flying in the air. Like, this is real life. I'm just a normal lady that is extraordinary, and I teach other people to do it as well. Yeah, thank you for listening to all of these seasons. Please follow us online. Send us your questions. I can't wait till we're showing up to each episode with at least one question from our listeners, really giving us the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper within ourselves and our guests to ensure we get all the coolest tidbits and bumper stickers. And make sure you buy your Community is Currency t-shirt online, because hopefully it'll be done by then.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week.